You acknowledged keeping your emotions in check. So I guess in a tense game like this, tense environment, I guess where does your mind, your competitiveness go when, occasionally teammates, kind of have to come in and redirect you away from the refs?
Well, I didn't think they were going to give me a technical at any point tonight. I would have been really sad for people in Washington, D.C. I didn't want to do that. I tried my best. But my teammates do a really good job of that. They think I'm funny. They think it's funny. So, and then Aaliyah is the one that ends up with a technical. That's the best part about it all. Like, she's the one babysitting me, and then somehow she ends up with a technical. And she didn't really do anything. She was just standing there, so that's what was funny to me. I think I did a better job. I still thought there was like a couple moments there where I could have been a little bit better. But now it's basically over. I don't have to worry about that anymore, but I don't want to be getting technicals at all. So, and my mom doesn't want that for me either. And I don't want to pay any more fines. So I'm done with that.
Okay, the last one.
Every piece of constructive feedback as fire with which to put in more effort. This sort of concentration is what she has over most of her colleagues. Moreover, it is her readiness to recognize her enormous potential that impresses many people, not the level of her athletic qualities. The effect of Clark's tenacity is not limited to her individual victories. It is shaping the WNBA, empowering the younger crop of players to keep their heads low and work rather than waste time seeking what others think. As Clark accumulates more wins, she is finding ways to give out more than just defeats. She is revolutionizing the perception and appreciation of sports and how they should be played. Managing high-stress situations is another lesson in management and focus that she will need as she continues to break through and redefine what women's basketball should be. The hatred Caitlin Clark receives from different players is beyond being a personal problem. It is a social issue that runs deep within the women's league. Capturing the limelight, Clark signifies where the game should be going in terms of who becomes a star and how and why it happens. It can be difficult for veterans who have had to build their star-high career to see a newcomer stealing the limelight as Clark does. This old school versus new school dynamic is slowly changing the landscape of the league. The success of Caitlin Clark is compelling the WNBA to acknowledge the changing times in the sport. Related young and skilled players like Clark will he knew to join the league, thus the league will have to be redefined. Outpouring of jealousy from her contemporaries indicates the teething problems associated with this evolution, but it also emphasizes that the league must help its talents to grow since their skills must not go unnoticed. Clark continues to set the bar high for the definition of a professional as she rises above the jealousy and keeps working hard to achieve even better success. Winning is not the only goal, but undertaking all that comes after winning, especially when people start and being new. Clark smoothens the process of his transition not only for herself but for other prospects who will come after her and look up to her as a role model by ensuring that she delivers, but more than that, bridges her active career in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark will have a positive influence on the WNBA and will even conquer records in this league at the start level of her career. She is already setting records, winning fans and rearranging the order in this environment. Her experience of reading certain heights as proof positive of talent, hard work, as well as psychological endurance. However, what does the future look like for Clark and the WNBA? If such a league still exists, her stature will continue to expand as she goes deeper into her passion for the sport and more records accrued to her name. It's more than simple raising of the level. She is now an athlete going to be reimagined in the WNBA, and terms of success, it has her ability to block such people out of her mind and work on their criticism that will guarantee her a place in history among the best female basketball players ever. The WNBA itself is also at a crossroads. Players such as Caitlin Clark and players of that ilk are attracting more interest in viewership, but it compels the league to changes. Well, how the league capitalizes on the success of its new stars will shape its future. Will the league indulge in the new talents parasitically feeding off the centrifugal forces of change, or stick to its old guns and risk shunning its future patrons and players? The answer will only become clear when the situation presents itself. Caitlin Clark remains agog to its great feats in sports, and without doubt she will raise a new crop of sports persons who will wish to be like her. Her impact will not only be evaluated by the feats she accomplishes alone, but also to the kind of history she transforms in the USA Women National Basketball Association and women's sports. Caitlin Clark is not only creating history but Evolution. I think the sport in which she plays as she moves forward, Caitlin Clark deserve love, not disrespect. Love for the fact that she spoke out as he gave a voice to Who You Eminem and so many others. She couldn't play. I must admit I lost a little respect for Caitlin Clark. It would be an understatement to say that Caitlin Clark garnered the attention of many fans, especially after moving up the contest in the WNBA. Her continuous standout performances over the years have made critics and fans sit on their feet, and new and every game yet as history. He has always shown there are challenges that an athlete faces, and for Clark that challenge lies in the deepest pangs of envy from her contemporaries. Ironically, Sheryl Swoopes, a longtime athlete, caused controversy by exhibiting nonchalance to the success of Clark. This resentment of Swoopes towards Clark is an envoyist issue, that jealousy or it current cause of resistance experienced by new entrants into the competitive arena from veteran participants. Even though her intimate friends like Claudia treats her so harshly, Clark still manages to publish unbelievable records in the events in the tournaments. On the whole, her own experience is a perfect example, proving that such an approach is efficient, and even the most vicious criticism can be overcome. The more Swoopes and the light downplay her achievements, the more publicity she garners, and the bigger her victory becomes. The anger that her critics have is only indications of how much Clark's achievement is an anathema to the legacy in a country where achievement comes due to effort and dedication. Caitlin Clark builds up her empire. He does not just play the game, she changes it. She reminds every critic of her that no degree of jealousy can conceal real talent. Precociously, whenever she break the record, Clyde still calls or up and even us or not to call him coach creeping and wonderful. Caitlin Clark's challenge as to any racy environment is to skirt anxiety-inducing comparisons. In awe response, she will keep getting elevated in the ranking of the grades of women basketball. Caitlin Clark's impressing and breaking every known record has created a lot of buzz in the WNBA. One of her records that clearly stands out among other records is topping Alyssa Thomas' all-time assists chart. This achievement is not simply numerical, it is about asserting that Clark is simply the best in the entire universe. The very fact that she's able to go against AIDS players such as Thomas and outperform them says everything about her skill, her vision, and her understanding of the game. These records are not simply achievements of personal nature, they are all sorts of declarations which say that the women's basketball status quo will be overhauled, and Clark's the one to do it. There has been a mixed response to Clark's achievement. While some embrace her as a torchbearer of the sport, for some like ESPN Molly Coram it has been a source of irritation regarding the publicity given to Clark. Karami comments offer a similar frustration that appears to be with Clark's sudden rise and fame. It is as if the way Clark is achieving success, this has become a threat to some, as they seem to believe their accomplishments are being downplayed. Nevertheless, rather than allowing such statements to lower her self-esteem, Clark chooses to utilize them as energy to increase her focus and advancement. This sort of achievement, breaking the record which belonged to the legends William and Keith for the shortest time used to make 1,000 as an assistant, achievements in the WNBA only strengthens Clark's claim in history. It is not simply about being the best in comparison to the history statistics, but also setting a curve in the pursuit of further performing. Such ruthlessness and her pursuit of excellence has attracted a lot of envy from her competitors, but it has also endeared her to a section of fans who have a different vision of what women's basketball should be. Perhaps Caitlin Clark's best quality is the ability to concentrate on her game regardless of any impact or judgments directed at her. They point out that this healthy skepticism enables her to put her opponents down, not with words, but down with their balls. Every match she participates in, every milestone she achieved, sends a message that she is in the game and she is not letting negative forces rule over her. The way she fights against, says Clark, any form of disapproval is very useful skill to have. Other people would most likely break under the public's pressing weight of judgment and envy, but in Clark it appears as fuel she uses